his only item of clothing. A fantastic detail for sure, though itself not enough to guarantee infamy. A few years back, a football play in neighboring Monroeville had been whistled dead when a young man, drunk and dared, had streaked the length of the field, and a week later it was old news. What held everyone breathless was the man's behavior. His eyes were fish-wide, defenseless against both sun and cottonwood fluff. He jerked about as if being encircled by a threatening mob. Strands of spit swayed from his bottom lip. His upper lip curled back to reveal clenched teeth. Whines escaped, broken by tongue-tangled babbles. Finally, there was his knee-juddering stagger, as if the planet were fracturing beneath his socked feet. Liv felt it too, the loss of footing. There was no stabilizing flagpole within her reach. "It's Mr. Fleming," someone said. Had it come from a schoolgirl? The old guy with the coat? Bob of Bob's Shoe Barn? Or was it all of them? A choir of condemnation, shaming Liv for not making the identification herself? Whatever had led Liv Fleming to this state of degradation, she should have known about it. Because Liv Fleming, in addition to being Bloughton High's senior English teacher for 25 years, and the director of every school play, speech competition, and community theater production for the past 3 decades, was also Liv's dad. Her intestines knotted. She dropped to her knees and felt the dew soak through her leggings. The person closest to her in the world had been turned inside out. The flagpole was clanging again. No, it was her heart, transformed into a hammer, driving her into the ground. Liv was, in fact, mortified she hadn't recognized him first, though, in her defense, he was barely recognizable. Stripped of his usual cardigan sweater, iron slacks, and wire-frame glasses. Naked, he looked underdeveloped, even fetal. As the old man's coat closed around him, and Liv heard sirens from the direction of the hospital, her dad's stabbing jabbers shifted to moist inhales and explosive, snotty sobs, noises louder and cruder than any she'd ever heard him make. The actual event did not exceed 5 minutes. The hospital, like everything else in Bloughton, enjoyed a direct route to the town center, and an ambulance was the second thing to violate the square that day, rollicking over the curb and bouncing up the sidewalk, chewing up pretty green grass and ejecting 2 EMTs. They were all over Liv Fleming before Liv, still on her knees and struggling to breathe, could find the courage to reach him. They hoisted his 48-year-old body of soft but clenched muscles onto a stretcher. Certainly they would have beckoned Liv, the man's only child, into the ambulance if they'd known she was there. The medics began administering to her dad before he was even strapped down, and the last thing Liv saw was his limbs thrashing, spittle geysering, all 10 fingers pointing at his wet, matted chest. "Biologic evidence!" They were the first words he'd managed. The doors slammed and the ambulance hopped the curb, surging the wrong way down Hamilton, its siren no match for the happy birds, its swirling red lights gulped up by the cheerful sun. Liv pivoted in the grass, knees muddying, and watched, thinking there was other biologic evidence here. The provable kind that tied the raving, naked lunatic to the gasping, kneeling girl. At least her dad was home after 4 days missing. 8 months and 6 days later, he would vanish forever. 2. Bone cracked against glass. Liv sucked air, wobbly, sick. She'd chased the ambulance and fought her way through the back doors, only for it to overturn when it took a corner too fast, and the sound was her bones, or her dad's bones, shattering hypodermics. No, she was lying down, and it was wet. The dewy grass? No, the wet was sweat. Was she in bed? Yes, in bed. The dream again. That terrible memory ending this time with a fictitious crash. The memory was never going to leave her alone. The knock again, steady as a woodpecker's. Right. It was Sunday. And not just any Sunday, the last Sunday before senior year began. She'd been waiting for this week for so long.